97% of fitness influencers are wrong about weight loss, and today I'm going to explain why with the help of this guy. This is Nathaniel, but he wasn't always this way. Back in his teens, he was just a skinny boy who everyone made fun of, and he had enough. He did have abs, but he barely received any praise for them because his arms were the size of straws. No matter how much he ate, he never seemed to gain any weight. I'm sure you have a friend who's like that, and hence, he went on a quest to find out the best and the healthiest way to put on some mass. Initially, he ran into some bullshit bodybuilding magazines from the 90s and mass gainer powders that were full of crap, and he eventually realized that the best way to put on weight was to build muscle in a slow and steady fashion. And so it began. He trained hard for the next 2 years and forced himself to eat 5 healthy meals per day. He consumed protein shakes with milk and bananas, and he ate chicken breast with pasta and eggs and everything else that he could get his hands on. And when he wasn't having an official meal, he munched on these nuts as snacks. He left no stone unturned and used all the scientific research at his disposal to gain as much muscle as he could. But building muscle came with a cost, and I'm not even talking about all the money he had to spend on a gym membership, the protein supplements, and countless eggs. In an ideal world, working out and eating a lot would have caused him to gain 100% pure muscle mass. But since we don't live in an ideal world, things did not go that way. Nathaniel gained as much muscle as it was realistically possible for him, but he also gained a few pounds of fat. Granted, his arms were now the size of multiple straws tied together, and he still had abs larger than the ones before, I must add, but now he couldn't see them because they were hiding behind his belly fat. And so began his next quest, shedding the fat he gained as a side effect while maintaining all his muscle. And once again, after consulting all the scientific research at his disposal, he realized that the best way to do it was to eat less, that means no more 5 meals per day, and moving more, which means running, walking, and cycling in addition to lifting weights. The only drawback being that during this time, he won't be able to put on any additional muscle because that required him to eat an extra meal or two. But that was fine by him as long as he maintained what he had, and so he did. And after a month-long cutting phase, which is bro science for fat loss, he was able to see his abs again. And then he went back to another bulking phase, which is bro science for weight gain, for the next 2 months. He continued with these cycles of bulking and cutting for the next 6 years and gradually kept putting on small amounts of muscle mass until one night he had an epiphany. He realized that since now he's an expert on fat loss, he should start a TikTok account dishing advice for all the people who have never been able to lose weight due to lack of discipline and eating more and moving less and not having the willpower, amongst other nonsense. He even started a fitness podcast with some of his favorite gym bros for the same. He seemed to have forgotten that unlike the people who have always been fat, without even forcing themselves to eat 5 meals per day with these nuts in between, it was his own conscious choice to put on the extra weight. And unfortunately, he missed 2 more important things as well. First, back when he used to be thin, he never seemed to gain any weight, no matter how much he ate, which means having to lose weight was never a struggle for him in the first place, unlike the people he was trying to help. Second, back when he started building muscle, he had to force himself to eat against his best instincts, and to lose weight, all he had to do was go back to his baseline and let his appetite make the calculation for him, which is not the case with people who have always been obese or struggle with weight related problems such as diabetes. And so goes the story of 97% of the fitness influencers on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and all the other social media sites that are only accessible in certain parts of the world where everything else is banned. None of the above is true for someone who has been obese since childhood, or did not choose to go on a skinny to jacked quest as Nathaniel did. Unfortunately, Nathaniel isn't the only one who suffers from this delusion. Granted, his intentions were noble, his approach wasn't optimal because it fails to work for almost everyone who is overweight. Even people with more experience than Nathaniel assume that the reason people gain weight is because they choose to overeat, because they choose to be undisciplined, and that they choose to not move more. They fail to understand that obesity and weight gain are not the result of a lack of motivation or willpower, and that there's something else going on. It is an obvious universal truth and a scientific fact that obese and overweight people aren't to blame for their condition. I know that especially because I used to be one of those people not long ago, but I would also like to mention that the purpose of this video isn't to make fun of skinny people either. I will make a separate video for that. Oh, and by the way, Nathaniel now has extreme body dysmorphia, and once he reached his natural muscle building potential, he started using steroids and went on an eternal bulking phase, which is why he now looks like this. My point is, because of our experiences, we often tend to project the same on everyone else too. And that is the case with most social media fitness influencers. It's not that they want you to fail, it's just that their assumptions are misguided, and that can lead to terrible consequences for your health and decrease your motivation to keep going. A lot of them have never been fat themselves before, so they go on long rants about the lack of discipline, motivation, and willpower as the cause of obesity. We all end up believing that as well and beat ourselves up about it. The first thing you need to do is to unlearn what you were forced to believe, and the second thing is to start correcting your approach to fixing obesity, and you can do that by learning about the biggest weight loss myth of all time by watching this video.